What is up, internet? So, just to start things off on a serious note, that's a lie. It's not a serious note. Recently, someone accused me in comments of editing videos. I don't edit videos. Proof. I'm going to answer a phone call right now. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, that light came on purple. It's real hard to get it not purple when it comes on purple. That one's on. Phone calls answered. So yeah, I don't edit videos. Be that what it is. I turn the camera on, I turn the camera off. So just setting the record straight. Also, this video is going to be a little bit of a fire hose situation, as in you are drinking from the. So I haven't had a lot of time recently to put any videos on the channel, as much as I would like to. But there have been a handful of what I think are groovy ideas that have come up in private sessions with folks that I just want to capture. So maybe the way I can make this seem somewhat professional is I'm just going to spitball these ideas at you. And if one of them seems useful, you can leave a comment below and ask for more information about one. So I wrote down a couple of them and we'll see what comes from there. So in the way that I do one leg drills, or I'm trying to call them one leg calibrations now, because the way I do one leg drills and the way anyone else does one leg drills are really pretty different. And please don't lump them together, because then you will not get the thing that I'm trying to have you get out of them. Other folks have great one leg drills, but I'm going after a different set of mechanics. So the way that I do one leg calibrations, first of all, what the goal is to help you learn how to have ground force, meaning how the ground pushes back on your legs, have that be the thing that creates hip torque. So if I'm standing here and I twist my hips, this is my hips twisting. This is not a motion we want in disc golf. It's not powerful. And it puts your knees into weird positions where they're not aligned, where you're loading knee tendons differently. So if I'm doing a squat, I want to be here. I want my legs to be in piston mode, where all they do is go up and down. I don't want them to also have to swivel, because then I'm going to be loading my knee tendons not uniformly, and I'm more likely to hurt something. So that's that informs how we want our leg to move. We don't want our leg to be rotating forward while anything's happening. We want our leg to lock into a linear plane, and we want it to do all of its extending while it's in that plane, and then we want the rotation to happen either before or after that. So that's one of the things I'm trying to set up in my one leg drills. Trying to help you find that moment of where in this motion can my leg be isolated for an instant, like 4 or 5 frames, so it can do its job and then get back to rotating to relieve pressure. In my experience, finding that window and setting your form up so you have that window is what allows ground force to make your hips move more. So back to my one leg stuff in general. I'm having you turn your toe back as a placeholder for an early hit point. I'm having you lock your knee and move your weight towards your glute. So you're moving your weight towards your heel, pushing your hips this way. That's going to engage the musculature on the rear side of your leg more, which, I mean, that's not really primarily what's active. Primarily what's active is your quad, but that sets up the alignment and the orientation we want. From there, I'm not going to twist my hips, because when I twist my hips, my knee is going to move. This is the new cue, is that my toe, my knee, and my hip are all going to stay in alignment. They're all going to stay pointing that way. So if I twist my hips, I lose knee alignment and I lose hip alignment even more. What I want to do is have the leg stay still. It's going to move a little for balance. We don't care about that. The leg is primarily not moving. It's just staying strong. What's going to rotate is my pelvis is going to rotate. It's going to lift out of this hip socket. So that's going to look like this. So from a different angle, I'm floating this hip up, but I'm not losing any of the toe, knee, hip alignment here. So my alignment stays the same. Pelvis opens, pelvis closes, and I've created hip torque. The hip torque is created because the front leg is stopping the front hip. Clear the hip is this. So my hip clears because my pelvis is rotating down. Now my hip is cleared. It's up and out of the way. So that is hip torque happening because of ground force. The ground force pushes on my hip, makes my hip stay here. This hip rotates past it, and I get torque on the spine. It's a little bit different than what actually happens in a full throw, but it's close enough that we can start to get some of the feel there. If I don't get ground force from my front leg, and I wind up, lift up my rear hip, and then I let both hips drop, I don't get any hip torque because there was no ground force. With the ground force, then I get hip torque when this side of my pelvis drops, and I can use that to create a throw on top of it. So that's kind of the first idea. The main thing being the foot, the knee, and the hip staying in line. This is one of the biggest problems that people have trying to execute this drill correctly, especially people who are just watching the videos and try to replicate it. I've never seen anyone do it right from that, which, you know, I could take on myself as an instructor and say, okay, I'm not making it clear enough. So this is an attempt to make it clear enough. You are not allowed to rotate your knee. You're not allowed to rotate your hip. You want this and that, not this, which that's what everyone does. They rotate the knee back, and then you're out of alignment, and then you're going to be out of alignment on the front side too, and it's not going to work. Even if it does work, even if you can throw 400 like that, you're not going to be learning the things from that drill that I'm trying to give you. So that's the first one. The second one is, this just came up. I just filmed a video for a guy today. Thinking about getting here versus our tendency to get here. So we want our toe closed, we want our heel to be at first exaggerated much more towards the target than our toe. Heel towards the target more than toe. So another way to think about that is my toe is my shock absorber. So this is, I'm not going, I'm getting my toe down in a reasonable way to control my weight. Then I'm driving my weight into the heel. So this is another thing I've been harping on a lot recently, is that I want to say, if I'm throwing a standstill, I don't want this. This is a lot of hip drift, and now my hips, my center of gravity is above my front foot. I can fire my leg all I want. All it's going to do is pop me up. That's not going to help create hip torque. So at that point, once I get here, I can't use ground force to create hip torque. All I can use ground force for is say I'm going to throw here, nice and flat, and I pop up, crap. Then you just made a swoop by virtue of messing up your swing plane with your hips. So I can't, my coil in the back can be perfect, but if I get to here, I call this hip drift. Your hips are drifting too far forward. If I get too far forward relative to my front foot placement, I'm screwed. I can't do anything right. So I need to find a way to have my hips move forward, but not get here. So I don't want my hips to drift all the way forward. I need my pressure to shift into the front foot before my weight shifts into the front foot. So if I'm here, boom, I shifted my weight to the front. My weight is there. What I want to do is I really want to shift my pressure without shifting my weight. So if I put a scale there, it would read more than 100% of my body weight before my body weight is there, because I'm shifting the pressure before I shift the weight. So that is a very long way to say we need to make the weight shift more abrupt and explosive and not slow. So it feels powerful to do this because you're moving a bunch of weight a big distance. Moving a bunch of weight a big distance looks like that. This is not a bunch of weight. This is a very small amount of weight. And we don't need this big, I'm going to throw a 26-pound kettlebell motion to make it go fast. All we need is structure and a whip. So shifting your mentality away from throwing something heavy to throwing something light. If you can get in a good structure and spin with explosive power caused by ground force, then you're going to have better success than if you try to throw something heavy. It just doesn't work. We do want the disc to feel heavy at release, but that's kind of a higher level thing that's only going to make sense when you're sequencing and your timing is good. So I know I had at least one more thing. No, maybe I did it all. So the toe is a shock absorber. I can go back to that one. So I'm doing a pressure shift, but I don't want it to be a pressure shift, because ow, that hurts. I want to shift my weight and control it with both the back leg being coiled and leading my weight correctly. But I don't want to blast onto the front foot. I want to get there controlled, and then I want to blast into the heel. So I think about that like shock absorber, pressure shift. So the toe helps me control the forward motion, and then I really get the pressure down and my weight down in the heel. And that heel pressure is what's going to stop this front hip from drifting forward. So if I hip drift before I pressure shift, then I'm screwed. So I need to pressure shift, boom, before I hip drift, and then I might be able to figure it out. Another useful thing, I know I've covered this before, but while we're on the topic, if I pressure shift and stop straight, no hip torque is created. If I start to move my foot, so I'm still shifting my weight and my pressure directly towards the camera, but if I shift the foot offline, then I get hip torque. So we need the weight to go behind the front heel and then the front leg to resist the ground. That will create the hip snap that we want. Otherwise, you won't get it. Very common mistake that I see, 80-90% of folks making is, again, totally intuitive. They drive off the rear leg towards the front leg. And a big symptom of this is your rear leg either gets stuck and has a hard time coming around, or it doesn't drift behind you the way we really want it to in the way that I coach, or your knees come together and then you spin and your foot scoops up. So what I really want to see is you can practice, first of all, my OneLeg stuff puts you in this position where you have this counter lever the whole time. If you don't have that counter lever, even if you lose part of it and bend your knees, when you go to throw explosively, you're going to pop up because you're not in balance. This is in balance. My leg being extended behind me counterbalances my head being on my toe side. So there, I can throw quite explosively and stay in balance. Here, I can't. I'm always going to pop up. So that's built into the OneLeg stuff. And then if I can practice a one step to accomplish the same goal. I'm going to step and drift my foot to there. So that's just going to force me to stay in balance better than here. And it's also going to work on timing my rear leg extension to set up my kinematic sequence to be correct. So I won't even get into kinematic sequence. Go look up kinematic sequence in ball golf. They do a better job of doing the math than us. Some coaches are hip to the idea, but it's not like popular yet. But basically I need my low body to start slowing down in order for my upper body to speed up on top of that. And I need my upper body to start slowing down in order for my arm to speed up on top of that. So that's the sequence part, kinematic sequence. You need the lower blocks to reach peak speed before the upper blocks. And putting my leg in this position accomplishes that because my hips have a stop point where they have to start pulling the leg around. And that's what starts slowing down the lower building blocks. So you can start to get a feel for that by just doing this one leg here, and your hips are allowed to move quickly for a time, and then they slow down when they start to bring that leg with them. That's built into the one leg position. It's built into stepping and extending your leg behind you. And also, last point, humans want to move all four limbs together. In general, we're not the best at doing different things with different limbs. So in my throw, I want to extend everything together and then contract everything together and then again extend everything together. Notice extend everything, not extend everything except for one leg. Because here, this is going to mess up your sequence and it's going to mess up your ability to express power by extending all four limbs at the same time. Okay, so I'll stop there. That's enough rambling for now. But again, if any of those totally random ideas resonate with you, point out which ones you liked and which ones made sense. And I'll try to make a cue for doing a more concise video on each of those points. All right, thanks, Internet. Good luck. Go check out the Patreon if you're interested in coaching at all. Also, Upper Park Disc Golf is doing a promo where if you buy a bag, they'll throw in 2 free discs. So you just put all those things in your cart and then the discs should show up as free. So I'll put a link to my Upper Park ambassador discount code thingy in the description as well. All right, thanks. See you next time.